I'm sleep deprived, man. I am running on fumes. So
Well, hell yeah, brother.
welcome back, mighty Vandals, to Tubs at the Club, brought to you this week by Snake River Stampede Whisky. We are the Idaho Vandals affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I am your host, Dallas Hammer, joined by brave, bold, friend of the pod, Colby Peterson. Colby, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Good to be back here with you guys to talk a little bit about the Vandals. Always happy to hang with some Vandals fans.
Brian is over at Nickelback tonight, so we really appreciate you jumping in and helping out again, guys. You guys can find Colby over at FCS Fans Nation. You can find him on Weber State Weekly still on occasion. I mean, you can also find him on Twitter at Roy City Slicker. You guys know who he is. So without further ado, last but certainly not least, the brick wall himself, producer redacted, Martin Heemstra.
It's fun to be back on again. I know season hasn't gone too well, but I know Dallas is amped to talk about how they talk about Sac State, and I'm excited to hear it. And yeah, it's excited to be back on again.
Yeah, as the one of the few defenders of Sac State in the Big Sky and FCS, I am expecting to take my fair share of bullets from the comment section today because I do believe in Brennan Marion and the Go-Go offense. But we have much more important news to get to first. Colby, this is actually the reason we brought you here.
Oh, okay.
Mickey Mental, man.
Yeah. Can you believe?
You've been... What's the opposite of singing praises? You've been doing that for a couple of years now. Your thoughts on Weber State right now, ripping and replacing Mickey Mental?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are asking, like, why now? You know, because there are 2 games left in the season. We play the Stripes this weekend up in Pocatello, a game that I will be at. So if you're a Vandal fan and you're in Pocatello for whatever reason, and you want to hit me up. And then we play NAU next week. So it's just sort of like, why now? I don't know. You know, it's welcome. The Wildcats have not had, I mean, the last 2 seasons have been just brutal. And it's weird because for a long time, Weber State was not a place that played winning football, right? Like it was a place where it was like, eh. Jay Hill comes in and changes that, and people expect things in Ogden now, and so there's been a steady chorus of do something about Mickey Mental. He just hasn't fit, and so the thing that sucks is like Coach Mental is a great guy. He's really cool. He's really personable, but from the record, it's clear that it just wasn't working.
So Idaho's offense has been the biggest issue so far this season. Thomas Ford has talked about it a bunch. I've seen some folks in our Discord and honestly just in general Twitter internet mention, hey, Mickey Mental had one decent year as the OC at Weber. What do you think on that? There are certainly people that are like, hey, Big Sky head coach, he could be an offensive coordinator, could slip in if they make a change at Matt Linehan.
Yeah, so a good point, right? Like in Mental's first season at Weber State, he was the OC, he was up in the booth, and those were his duties because when he became the head coach, he continued to call plays from the sideline, but I was always skeptical of that. So that one sample size, right? Like just that one thing, it's not terrible, man. Like it really isn't. Like we compare a lot to the 2017 season because I think in some ways that was the best team in school history. People look at 2019 and say, oh, but you went to the semifinals in 2019. It's like, yeah, but 2017 was probably a better team. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you're a Vandal fan and you're a little bit skeptical about that, I mean, obviously, you guys still have your OC right now. It's not like they're looking currently. It's just there have definitely been problems. It's not terrible. So I don't know if it's actually out there. I get the feeling that Coach Mental he's from Ohio originally, and he'll probably head back that way is my guess. Mm-hmm. But it's not terrible, right? When he's there and he has his own guys, he can really do stuff. I think it's just one thing that if you ever watch him, he, for some reason, struggles to get the play in, and we get busted for a lot of delay of game, and it boggles the mind. It's like, why? I don't understand. But yeah, he's not a terrible as an OC. Not terrible, right? Like better than some we've definitely seen in the Jay Hill era, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Obviously the head coaching run did not work out. And say what you will about the hire at the time, promoting an OC after 1 year, it was a gamble and it didn't work out. But guys, we're gonna actually get to the preview now. Before we do, if you are looking for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, do not look past your backyard. Hughes River Expeditions has been Vandal-owned and operated since 1976, and they're ready to take you on the vacation of a lifetime. Enjoy a multi-day trip down the Middle Fork of the Salmon, the main Salmon River of No Return, the Salmon River Canyons, or even the Selway, and you can check out special treats like one to see the Perseid meteor shower. Camp on pristine beaches, since Brian's not here, it's beaches. Run amazing whitewater, hike scenic trails, spot wildlife, soak in beautiful natural hot springs, and fish the most remote stretches of river in the entire United States of America. Just bring your clothes. HRE is going to handle everything else. Grab a paddle, catch dinner, and ride the bull all throughout the Gem State. You can call them now, 406-540-4450, or check them out at hughesriver.com. All right, guys. This is the point of the season that I think Vandal fans were fearing. That's also probably why our viewership number live right now is lower than it's been in quite a handful of weeks. The Vandal season is officially over. There are not going to be playoffs. We know Idaho has 2 more weeks to play. They have Sac State this week before ending with the Stripes in the Kibbie Dome next week. But getting to Sac State, this is an interesting team. They're 6-4, 4-2 in the Big Sky. They have a pretty awful loss to Cal Poly, then a loss to Weber, a loss to Montana. That you could. Everybody's going to lose to Montana unless they're Montana State. So hey, whatever, it's going to happen. Outside of that, they have gone on a decent run. You play who you play, but they really kicked the shit out of Portland State and Eastern and Weber, and they put it to Northern Colorado pretty good, and are starting to kind of figure it out, Colby, a little bit, where they have learned, hey, if your quarterbacks can't stop turning the ball over, just don't let them touch the ball. Just give it to the running backs 85% of the time, and good things are going to happen.
Yeah, they run the ball a lot, right? Like a lot. And they are the worst passing offense in the conference, and that's sort of when you run the ball so much, like you said, you don't pass. And so your numbers fall. But it seems like what's happening at Sac State is sort of like what happens in Missoula each year, where they maybe struggle a little bit. The Grizz will struggle a little bit in the start of the season, but they always seem to gel as time goes on. And by the time the playoffs show up, they're ready to go for the most part, right? Like you don't see the Grizz losing in the second round like that. That doesn't usually happen. Exactly. And it feels kind of like Sac is doing that right now. That Coach Brennan Marion has kind of got the guys on board with the go-go offense. It's a little different because, like you said, it's really run heavy, and so that's how they've done it. Because I think probably just personnel, and it's probably going to look different next year. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have to throw the ball, why? I mean, when I watched Sac play against Weber State, that was a weird game because it rained and it was really cold, and we had a lightning delay and all this stuff. And so once we finally started playing the game, the Wildcat defensive line was doing a fairly good job of kind of holding them in. But as soon as they started running the quarterback, game was over, and they just kind of blew it open. And so I think it's definitely a thing to watch for you folks this weekend. Is like if the Hornets are if they're breaking contain a lot, it probably is going to be a long day.
Yeah, it is probably going to be a rough day, at least in some aspects, just because again this is an offense that is number 3 in the Big Sky in scoring. They are number 1 in rushing yards per game with 254. Yeah. And then again, when it comes to the passing offense, only Weber's passing offense is worse. And obviously some quarterback injuries contributed to that. But this is a team that is committed to not all the time, but 21 personnel. You're going to see 2 running backs more often than not. And if there is one running back, there's 3 different guys that it could be, even maybe a 4th if you count.
Henderson, if you want to count, you can have DeLon Thompson, right? Like you have, you have Rodney Hammond Jr., who's been really good for them. And then, like we said, the quarterback running is so, Carl Williams has been he's a problem if he's just running all over you.
His passing numbers are not great. 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Is not asked to do a lot with his arm because that's why they lost the Cal Poly game. He threw 3 interceptions. They tried to bring Jaden Rashada in, and Jaden Rashada showing why 5-star quarterbacks don't work out in the Big Sky, typically because they failed out at a bunch of different levels before that, until they got here. He went 1 for 6. That game looked like he was lost. And then after that was kind of that delineation point of, hey, you know what? Cardale Williams can run the ball. He's got 80 carries. I mean, the sack numbers are included in that, but he's got 314 yards on the ground, 10 rushing touchdowns. And then you do get to that running back 3-headed monster, Rodney Hammond Jr., Damian Henderson II, and Jaquale Smith right now are there 3 guys, all of them putting up insane numbers. Rodney Hammond, especially last week, player of the week in the conference. He's had 100+ rushing yards in 5 of the last 6 games. The Montana game is the only game he did not break 100. Like he is their guy. He's small, he's speedy. If anybody watched the Eastern game a couple weeks ago, he broke off like an 87-yard run and then a 50-yard run. Like the guy is explosive. And when you have Idaho, who is one of the best, if not the best rushing defense in the conference, man, it's strength on strength. And sometimes you don't know how that's going to go. It does terrify me. This is a team is going to just run the rock, and there's a bunch of different guys to it. It's almost like a triple option in many ways, where you don't know which guy is going to carry it. Somebody's going to carry it. You just don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Montana State has built a lot of success on that, right? The past few years, like Malott was that he could throw, but man, he could break contain like crazy and really hurt you. And so it seems like Sac is maybe saying, okay, we can do that, because they had a lot of success doing it.
Mm-hmm. And again, they're 6-4. They're probably looking at this Idaho game. They have the Causeway Classic as the end of the season. Most teams have their rivalry game at the end. This could be a game where they're looking past Idaho because they have a bigger opponent on the end. But at the same point, you win this game. I'm not saying it's going to seal them in for the playoffs, but you win this game, and as long as you make it pretty competitive against a top 10 UC Davis squad, and you've done a pretty damn good job at getting that first year rebuild in with Marion and try to get yourself into those playoffs.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think the trap game is a really good point, Dallas, because they're obviously going to be looking toward, because they need that win, right? They need that Davis win to really, especially if, I don't know, you can tell me what you think. Like, do you think that they're a potential seeded team where they would miss the first round, and get to stay home and watch and have Thanksgiving. What do you think on that? Because if they do beat Davis, it's like that really does make the case, I think, for that. Or maybe not, because like you said, that Cal Poly loss looms large. That hurts.
It
really hurts
really
you.
bad. Yeah, it's really bad.
And it's not like it was beginning of the season. It was like just a few weeks ago, man. Like,
yeah, it was. Obviously it was the beginning of the conference season, but like this wasn't some like week one we hadn't figured out a quarterback situation yet. Like this like you're midway through your season and you blew a game that. If you didn't blow that game, you're probably already locked into the playoffs. And we are having a serious discussion about this team's looking at 8-9 wins, being a high seed, getting out of the first round. Maybe there's a chance if they beat UC Davis, because again, that is going to look huge for them. A road win against your rival, again, probably going to be in the top 10 that week. That's huge, but you have to get past Idaho first. And man, Idaho, I don't know what to expect here. We've talked about obviously a little bit about the Idaho defense. The front seven is pretty well loaded. We know that strength is going to go up against the strength of the running backs for Sacramento State. But Coach Thomas Ford said it in his press conference this week. Man, when you have the strength on strength, you do usually have to have exit strategies of what are we going to do if our strength doesn't beat their strength. Yeah. Well, they're probably going to have an exit strategy of throwing the football. But also Idaho is going to have to force them to throw, which is the exact opposite we've said all year long about every Idaho opponent. It's been, hey, if they keep running the ball, Idaho's got a chance. This might actually be the time I want to see Williams throwing the ball, because he has a tendency to turn it over, and that's what Idaho's going to need. Is you got to keep the top on the defense, because they do have Ernest Campbell. Their little, I think he's listed at 5'9". One of the smallest receivers in the Big Sky, but also maybe the fastest outside of Michael Wortham. He's got over 25% of their catches. He has half of their yards. Like, their passing offense goes through him. You have to keep him limited, because we've all seen it. Idaho has a tendency to hey, the ball's in the air. You know what? They can catch it. We'll let them score. We'd like to get the ball back. It's
they can get behind us. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So it lines up really weird. So Colby, for me, I'm in a mind pretzel. I don't know what to think about this, because Idaho does not want teams to throw. But here we are. If Idaho wants to win this game, Cardale Williams probably has to throw the ball a handful of times.
Yeah, and like you said, if they get them to that point, they're going to be in a nice spot, because he's not a great passer. He does have the tendency to kind of throw the ball, put a little under it. And so turnovers could be really, really big for this Idaho team, right? Because you get some timely turnovers, especially if they're looking past you and they're not taking the game seriously. 1-2 interceptions, all of a sudden, this game is close. And you mentioned that the Idaho offense has been a bit of a slog, right? Like, it has not been super productive. And Sac State is a team that does a really, really good job of, I would say, defense in general. Like, they're top 4 in both rushing and passing defenses, right? So it's like they're okay, but I don't think that because they're good and not like the best at some of these things, in my brain, it gives maybe Idaho a few options. It's like they're not taking one piece of the offense away immediately, saying like, you're not running on us, so they make you one-dimensional. So if I were a Vandal fan, I would take, I guess, heart with that, is that they're not going to be able to take one aspect of the game away or another. Maybe the coaching is able to do that, but on paper it doesn't look like that. So it's like, okay, that's good. And we know that they're going to run the ball, right? We know that. And if we can make them uncomfortable and force them to have a few of those throws, and like you said, keep their underutilized wide receivers, in front of the secondary, then it's like, yeah, we dare you to beat us with your arm, right? Because it hasn't even.
Yeah. Even with all of Idaho's defensive struggles with the pass, again, like going through the Sac State game recaps and the bit of film I was able to watch between their last 2 games, like there's not a lot of fear that comes in the receivers. Again, Ernest Campbell is excellent, and I'd love to have him on the Vandals right this second. Yeah. But then there's Jordan Anderson, their other starter. He's got 21 catches, which is still certainly respectable, but a team that is throwing the ball with the intention to throw the ball to win the game. That's just not how it's working for Sac State this year.
No.
When you circle it back around to Idaho's offense against Sac State's defense, the one thing Sac State does phenomenal is getting to the quarterback.
Yeah.
And
man.
That makes me a little bit nervous because I have no knowledge of this. It's just from what I've seen with my own eyes. I think Joshua Wood is not at 100%. I think it's easy to say that about every football player right now. Like I think everybody's going to be dinged up after 10 games, but I think Joshua Wood is not limping. He's not actively out there like dragging himself around, but he does not look to have the exact same burst as he did ever since that knee injury at Montana. So when you look at, they have 3 guys in the top 10 in sacks in the conference. That's the immediate fear for me is the offensive lines have done a really good job. Now, last week, there was certainly a little bit more pressure, a little bit more give up in the run game. Idaho's offensive line probably had the worst performance of the year last season, or excuse me, of the season last week. But all of that to say, that's what they do is they get after the quarterback. They don't shut down the run game. They don't have corners that are just silencing your receivers. If you can keep Wood upright, you've got a chance here.
Yeah, I think that if you're Linehan, maybe you'd like take a page from that UC Davis book and you look for those quick, short like slants and outs and stuff like that, where the ball gets out of the hands of the quarterback quickly. Because like you said, maybe Joshua Wood isn't at 100%. That knee injury has really maybe hurt his mobility, and so he's not going to want to scramble a lot. And if he does, that's probably not how you want it. So if you get the ball out of his hands quickly, you can maybe get chunk yardage because they are committing a lot forward, right? They do want to get pressure on the quarterback. And so if you go for some of those like check downs, passes in the flat, like you could have success and just keep moving the chains, right? Because they're not necessarily, like you said, lockdown corners. And if that is the game, then the adjustment is, okay, we need to stop bringing pressure, or we're going to commit more to the middle of the field. And I think that benefits Idaho, right? Because it says, okay, now we can pass. But I mean, good point. Slants would be great, but our receiver's not getting separation. It's true, and that's why the idea is to hurry, but you got to get in front because we're talking 4 or 5 yards out, and then bam.
And then bam, you got to be pulling that trigger immediately. And you mentioned Matt Linehan there. This is all rumor. I have nothing to confirm this, but we have heard some rumors and rumblings that there has been a change with the Idaho offense. I feel like if it was a demotion or an outright firing, I feel like that would have come out. So I don't actually know what's going on, but Thomas Ford has spoken about the Vandal offense a lot in his pressers. It seems like after every game, defense played pretty well. Offense struggled with this, offense struggled with that, offense struggled with this, and offense struggled with that. And these last couple press conferences have been pretty critical of just Idaho not getting it done when it matters. The conversion downs is really what he's been focused on since the post game of UC Davis and then the pre press conference this week of Idaho. Just when it comes to 3rd and 4th down, it's a complete waste. And part of that is when you sprint to 3rd and 8 in 2 plays that are deep shot fades down the sideline. That's kind of what happens. But
you put yourself in a bind.
Exactly. So I don't know what to expect from Idaho's offense. We saw Idaho put up 7 points in each of the halves last week, and that obviously is just not going to get it done. But there are other guys on the coaching staff that have play calling experience. Sheldon Cross has been a offensive coordinator for multiple Big Sky schools and called plays for multiple Big Sky schools. Tyler Powpow was a offensive coordinator at the D2 school he was at before he became the receivers coach here. Like there are guys that have experience calling plays. I don't know if they're taking the reins. I don't know if it's going to be like, hey, a collaborative effort. I had a handful of weeks ago when the Idaho offense really struggled. Ford came in and said, hey, I'm getting more involved with Matt in the offense and building things out. Maybe that changes things. But right now, for me, I see this team struggle to put up 14 points on UC Davis, and I question how are they going to even score here, and that That's I guess the big question from me to you, Colby, is if you were the Vandals offensive coordinator, you've been following the Vandals pretty well. How would you attack this team? Because right now you've got Eli Cummings, and then your running backs are older or just young guys that don't get to see the field, and then you got a bunch of young receivers that don't get a ton of separation. What would you do in this situation?
Yeah, and I think it's maybe like we should give the Vandals credit because while on paper it's like 14 points is all they scored last week, there were more opportunities than that, right? There were chances to go ahead. I mean, also give the defense a little bit of credit. They only gave up 28 points to a Davis team, which is in the top 10, right? And while is Davis going to compete for a conference title? No, right? We know where that's going to happen. It's going to be next week in Missoula, so whatever. But still a good FCS team, and holding them to 28 and having opportunities to win the game. I think if you're a Vandal fan, you take heart with that and you say, okay, yeah, like there are opportunities, but the separation is a good point. I remember when I talked to you at the beginning of the season, you guys had talked a little bit about the receivers maybe being a little bit unsure because like names like Marquand McCraney, where it's like he's coming off a redshirt year, and we think that like this guy is really going to take the next step. And he kind of has, right? Because if you look at the numbers, Eli Cummings, in just conference play, so 6 games, Eli Cummings has more catches than McCraney, right? But it bodes, I mean, you weren't wrong, right? When we chatted at the beginning of the season where it's like, we think that he's going to be a factor, and he has been. It just hasn't been as explosive as I think folks would like.
Yeah, and Coach Ford has even mentioned that when McCraney had his breakout game a couple weeks ago, it was actually he had surgery right at the end of spring ball, so he missed all of the summer, he missed all of fall camp, and has been working himself into the program throughout the year, and so that's where some of that happened. It gave guys like Ryan Jesiaro a chance to get some playing time, and unfortunately, he's been dinged up and hurt a lot. But
because he's had moments, right? He's had some moments where Jesiaro, it's like, okay, like this guy can do some stuff, but
there's something here, and maybe sophomore year, this guy might be a real player in the Big Sky.
Yeah.
But we're in that circle of okay, Nolan McWilliams has really looked good as a true freshman, and then unfortunately made the freshman mistake of stepping out of the back of the end zone, and it was ruled that he stepped out and he wasn't forced out, and catches the touchdown. It's legal contact. It goes off the board. Idaho then doesn't score. Just all these little things that have built up over the year, and it's been encouraging to see some of that get fixed and some of that like pop again. Like we've seen Marquand McCraney has had some big games. There's also been games where he's had 2 catches for 12 yards, and there's just not a ton of consistency, which you would expect with a young team. But it doesn't feel like the offensive coaching has been putting the guys in a great place to succeed. We see that with the defense a lot. There's a running joke about the 3-man front and dropping 8 guys into coverage and how poorly it works. But on the whole, like you said, you held UC Davis to 28 points. It was 21 points quite quickly in the first half, and then you held them to 7 in the second half. Like the adjustments were made, and the defense, man, nutted up and completely locked down that team. Gave Idaho a chance to win if the offense was able to stay on the field a little bit better. And again, once they get to the red zone, they've got to actually put the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, because it's worth noting that like Davis in 6 conference games, second in the conference at averaging 296 yards. So that's just it's 290. But that's like 13 yards on average less than the Stripes right now, who are just slanging it, right? Mm-hmm. Idaho held that offense to just 28. Like, pat yourself on the back there. Maybe things are gelling a little bit in spite of injuries, which, like you said, have taken a toll. And because of those injuries, you have younger guys who are making mental mistakes like that, where you take 7 off the board because of going out and not being pushed out. That hurts. He's definitely going to learn from that. But you see the potential, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and so that's what we're seeing with the defense, where that's finally starting to execute. There's definitely a loss of talent over the last few years. I think Idaho's defense, built off of the guys that are still playing college football right now, just in other schools, mostly in the Power 4, that's a top 25 defense across the country if you bring back all of those guys to Idaho. So there's obviously a lack of depth there, just because it's been every year. It seems like the entire starting 11 is just pulled and sent to the transfer portal, and it's a brand new crew of guys every single year. And I know everyone seems to deal with that, but Idaho specifically, the defense has just been devastated. And to their credit, they are getting better every single week. There are guys that have been popping, like Matthias McLean's been having a great year on the edge. I think fourth in the conference in tackles for loss. Caleb Ricks, true freshman defensive back, has looked really good. There have been a lot of bright spots, but then there's also those times where it's like, man, could you imagine if Ormani Arnold was still here and if Andrew Marshall was still here? They're both, in the Big Ten, like Big 12 and Big 10, but they're like, those guys are playing power football on Saturdays instead of being here as Idaho's two lockdown corners, and then you'd have Deuce Blenman and Caleb Ricks as your 3-4. That's an incredible defense. Just not the reality of Idaho this year. But
shout out to Isaiah King as well, man.
Yes. Oh man, Isaiah King has been incredible. Dylan Lane has been great as well. Our linebacking core, honestly, Cruz Hepburn, Will Cornelson, the linebackers have been the strength of this team. Before we get into any more talk, I gotta get to before we get to the keys of the game, I got to get to our favorite sponsor, or at least one of our 3 favorite sponsors, maybe even 4 if we end up with a 4th one at some point. But Pacific Custom Sportswear, you guys have heard me talk about them a handful of times. They're here in Spokane, Washington, in business for more than 25 years, working with the U of I, many regional companies and schools, printing up custom quality apparel. But today, guys, today is one of my favorite days for Vandal gear, because we got some new items coming up on the shop. I am a bit of a Grinch. My wife, if she's listening to this, is probably like screaming, because on the screen right now is the Joe Vandal Ugly Christmas Sweater, brought to you by Vandal Gear. So again, vandalgear.com, guys. You can see it on the screen right now. Incredible. Love this. It is the truly ugly Christmas sweater. It has the smiling Joe Vandal. We got all the dots. We got, again, if you need an ugly Christmas sweater for a Christmas party, we got one right here for you at vandalgear.com. There are unfortunately some technical issues. We have not gotten all of the accessories thrown up onto the page yet. I say we, like I'm involved with this with Jeff, but Martin's got it on the screen. There's some different crossbody bags, some tumblers, some mugs, fanny packs, bunch of new accessories. So guys, it's Christmas time right around the corner. You're looking for some Idaho glasses, some Idaho socks, or some Joe Vandal socks. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get myself a pair of those.
Dude, that bunch of new with the Joe Vandal and then like the Idaho design on the back, like, dude, that's money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Beautiful stuff. Again, if you're listening not live, go to our YouTube or go to vandalgear.com. Check out the new accessories collection as well as the phenomenal ugly Christmas sweater. There's going to be more and more stuff coming as Jeff and the crew over at Pacific Custom Sportswear continue to put stuff up, because again, it's Christmas time, guys. If you need gifts for the Vandals in your life, $15 for those Vandal crew socks. Those are sick. I am going to have to order those as soon as we get off of this call.
I don't know, man. I'm a sucker for socks too.
Man, I'm wearing a pair of Mario and Luigi. I probably shouldn't say that because we'll get DCMA'd. I'm wearing the plumber and the dinosaur from the big video game company on my feet right now. There we go. That's how we don't get this taken down. Martin's already jumping in. Oh, Martin has already ordered the ugly Christmas sweater. Love that, Martin. So, Colby, we've done a lot of talking about just the generalities of this team. We've mentioned the defensive line. I neglected to mention they do have a free safety, Koa Akui, who leads the conference in interceptions. So Joshua Wood has been very good about not turning the football over, but they do have one ball hawking safety, which is a real good way to, we were talking about Idaho needing to force a couple turnovers. Well, if they can get one back with the guy leading the conference in interceptions, that's all she wrote. But keys to the game, Colby, any sort of keys you want to go with here?
Well, so we just talked about the linebacking core, right? Like, they're going to play a really big part because we've already talked about Sac State runs the ball. If you want to keep contained, your backers need to be sharp. And like you said, Isaiah King has been great. Will Cornelson, great. Like, I'm saying there's a chance. And you have, Caleb Ricks had an interception last week. And so if they do choose to throw the ball, knowing what we know about how they throw the ball and how well they throw the ball, I like that chance, right? That He could mess up, or maybe Zach Whisky gets something, But
Hayden John was the safety that got one last week. That was just the duck that kind of just fluttered up in the air on a deep ball and just didn't quite get to its target.
yeah, but backers, right? Like I think backers are going to be key to stopping this run because the front is the front. They obviously run the ball well. Backers playing quality, playing on the edges, like it's going to matter.
This is one of those times I would not mind seeing Idaho just commit. I know people don't love the 3 down front. I would love to see 3 down front and just play all 4 backers. Put Hepburn out there, put Cornelson out there, put Lane out there, put King out there, and just say, "Hey, go stop the run. Do not let them get 250 yards of rushing." Like that is kind of their. It's obviously it's an extreme number, but if they hit 250, they win pretty much every single game. If you can keep them under 250, you got a chance. But as soon as they break that 250 mark, it's pretty much over. And when they have 4 different guys that can be running the ball at really any time, that's kind of what happens. And then I would be remiss to not mention it. They do have another running back who does not play a ton. He is listed as a starter, doesn't play a ton. His name is Sam Adams II. For our Pacific Northwest friends, he is the son of former Seahawks first-round defensive tackle Sam Adams. Played with the Seahawks in the 90s, was a couple-time Pro Bowler, but he's most known for getting a bunch of employment and business lawsuits in Washington, and most recently killing the Spokane Shock. Reviving and then killing the Spokane Shock. So just wanted to get that in there because I do have this weird soft spot for the Spokane Shock in my time as a TV guy. So just had to point that out there. Would be really nice to beat the son of this guy who killed the beloved intersection of Walmart and NASCAR here in Spokane. But my keys to the game, Colby, man, if you're Idaho, you got to stop the run like this is Wazoo. Wazoo could not run the ball. And I think that came because they picked the wrong quarterback to start the year. I've seen coaches have a tendency to do that. But you got to stop the run like it's Wazoo. You cannot let Campbell get behind any of the defensive backs. I think if they take one 50-yard touchdown pass, I feel like that is going to be momentum just right through the heart of Idaho. That's going to do it. If you allow a big burn touchdown on a team that is known for running the ball, man, that opens up so many doors for them. I'm terrified of that. You got to get at least one turnover. I don't see how Idaho wins this game on the road against the team receiving votes, against the team that probably is more talented than Idaho at this point. You gotta get a takeover. If you don't have a turnover or takeaway, you have got to execute just about everything perfectly, and we have not seen this Idaho team do that one time this year.
And I guess a good point to this is that in 6 conference games, Sac State has only forced 2 fumbles, man. They don't, and they are the worst, the most penalized team in the conference. And I'm surprised as Weber State Wildcat that somebody is more penalized than us. Trust me. But I know the game is on the road. But also another thing is they don't draw a lot of penalties well. And so if you can make them pay, give up free yards, I mean, the hard count could be your friend here, even though they're at home. It could be your friend.
Yeah. I mean,
because they get to the quarterback, right? And they're going to be juiced to do it. And if they're jumping off sides all the time, well, that's free yards.
Yeah, and that's how you capture an undisciplined team like this, right? If they had a little bit more discipline. Now, I know that Brendan Marion got in a lot of trouble for saying what he did about the officials targeting Sac State, and the numbers don't back that up. When you compare what their penalties looked like from out of conference to in conference, they're playing pretty much the same style of football that they've been playing. But that's a great point. They have a bunch of guys that are going to try rushing the passer. They have 4 different guys that are either in the top 3 in sacks or in the top 3 in tackles for loss between the 2 edge rushers and 2 defensive tackles. 3 edge rushers and 1 defensive tackle. They rotate a ton in that front 7. That is how you get them. If you're Idaho, you have to make them make some mistakes because I think we all know Idaho's going to make some. It's college football. Both teams are going to make mistakes. But you're going to have to force Sacramento State into some of those. Hey, it's 3rd and 6. Oh, you got him offsides. It's 3rd and 1. Sick. Now you give it to Kinchlow. You make sure you get those 2 yards. He's good for 2 yards. Give him the ball. Get those 2 fucking yards. I don't know how many times I've seen Idaho in 3rd and short, and Kinchlow's on the sideline. You have this big fullback that gets you a couple yards every time he touches the ball. Give it to him. Just go get it. You don't have to get 40 yards on 3rd and 1. You need 1 yard.
Send the battering
ram.
ram.
Get you 2. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not coaching. I'm just a podcaster, and that's why I'm here and not being paid to be on the sidelines in Moscow right now. Or I guess if you're listening to this right now on a Friday, probably on the plane to Sacramento, whatever. Colby, any final thoughts on the Vandals game before we move forward to picking the Big Sky?
Yeah, so one thing that Jason Myers got here in the comments is saying that less pressure on Idaho this week. You mentioned this at the top, right? That like season's kind of, we're just playing the next 2 games. We know that we're not going to the playoffs. It is. And so in some ways that does free you up to say like, okay, well, we're not going to the playoffs, so let's play loose. Let's play easy. That, everyone expects us to lose this game. What if we don't?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get got. Like Montana got by a not good Weber State team last year in Missoula because they kind of looked past them, right? Like everyone expected the Wildcats to lose that game. And so there was no pressure because it was like, you're going to Wash Grizz, you're playing them on the road, like you're probably losing, whatever. And then so you just play loose. Vandals I think they can do that. So good point by Jason Meyer.
Yeah, that really hoping that's what we're going to end up seeing. Because again, like you've said, we've seen it before. Richie Munoz had an incredible game, and then this could turn into a 3-hour discussion about the transfer portal. Richie Munoz, maybe you should have stuck around at Weber, bro.
Yeah, we wouldn't have minded it. I mean, it wasn't so bad. I mean, you're riding the pine in Cookeville now. I've been to Cookeville. It's okay. It's not Ogden. I'll tell you that.
But you're now, I don't think he's even the second string there. Vesperis is obviously having a fantastic season, but I don't think he's even the backup there. He's at least 3rd string. So
yeah, at least.
And we've seen that across the Big Sky. I mean, Giovanni McCoy, 2 great years with the Vandals. Now, again, it was a pretty open secret that Jack Lane was going to be the guy. And so Giovanni McCoy moved on for a good reason. But unfortunately for him, and he lost the starting job at Oregon State and then couldn't cut it at Texas State and is now the 3rd or 4th string guy at Temple. And that's going to be how he ends his career. And that's a real bummer. So you mentioned in that, it just made me think of Richie Munoz. Like, man, what would have been for Weber if you would have had him as your starting quarterback this year? Like it hopefully all of this straightens out, and we'll do, I'm sure plenty of shows in the offseason talking about the transfer portal and how it's going to adjust, and how I think kids are going to start being a little bit smarter about, hey, if you go take that quick money, you could just never play football again. And is that really what you want to do? Because you could be here. Yeah, it sucks that you're on a 4-6 Vandal team that maybe will get back to 500 with a whole bunch of luck. But also, if you're Caleb Bricks, true freshman starting for Idaho, maybe don't leave after the year. Maybe come back, start again. Maybe the team's better, and then you run off to 10 wins, and then you can think about, I could go get another place somewhere else, rather than jumping ship immediately, which we've seen a bunch of guys jumping ship from bad teams that would have just been better off with some seasoning. But anyways, I digress because I'm running on about 2 hours of sleep. So I apologize that we're just going completely off the wall. I do have a special message from Brian Marceau. So if you give me just 1 second, we're going to grab Brian Marceau.
So if you want to make your Vandal game day your Vandal game day, look, you can't go wrong with reaching for a bottle of Snake River Stampede. You have 2 options. Either their entry-level Snake River Stampede, or if you want to celebrate a big Vandal win, you can reach up and grab that Snake River Stampede 1915 Small Batch Edition. Either option is a double barrel finish, first fill bourbon for both, and then your Stampede finishes in Oloroso sherry casks. Your 1915, in addition to being aged a couple extra years, it's finished in ex-Canadian rye whiskey casks. You can't go wrong either way. Grab yourself a bottle of Snake River.
So glad Brian was able to join us from his concert tonight to quickly drop in that little ad read for us. Guys, it's time. Tubs at the Club is sponsored by Snake River Stampede Whiskey, as you just heard Brian tell us all about it. We are now into picking the Big Sky. Last week, Martin went 4-2 because, again, Martin's got that Montana tax against him. Brian went 5-1, and I regretfully went 6-0 because I predicted Idaho to lose and was the only person to predict Idaho to lose. We're going to see how this goes today. Colby, I'm going to give you the wheel first. This is the barn burner. Everyone's talking about it. Weber State at the Stripes.
Yeah, a game that I will be at, right? I don't know what to expect. We just fired our head coach. The Stripes like to slang it. Our secondary is not terrible, but our pass rush has been okay. So it's like could be good. So I don't know, man. Everything in your head says go Stripes, but I'm going with my heart on this one. Go Wildcats.
Yeah, I love that. Martin.
I'm gonna go Idaho State.
I get it.
Yeah.
Lane, you're getting me on this one.
I would have to agree with Martin here. I'm checking the text I got from Brian at the beginning of the show. Brian is also taking Idaho State. As much as I want to give you the new coach bump, Colby, there is just something about the Stripes offense.
It's good.
For being
It's
being
good.
a team that wants to throw the ball, and that's all that. If Cody Hawkins, I think, had a choice, he would never run the ball ever again.
Well,
And
Dason Brooks is underrated, I think. Like, he's a good back, right?
He's the number 2 guy in yards in the Big Sky.
Yeah, like he's not nobody.
But that's what I mean is like, man, for a guy that has been pretty open about throwing the ball, and they can run the ball really well too. They're just slowly getting better every year. But I do feel like a road game. If this was in Ogden, maybe I would have been on your side, but unfortunately, the Vandals are all going with the Stripes tonight.
I get it.
Martin, we're going to switch this back up and let you go first, and then Colby, you'll go, and then I'll go. Northern Colorado at Eastern Washington.
I thought about Eastern, but I'm going. I thought about Northern Colorado, but I'm going to go with Eastern in this one.
In the comment section, Jason Mayer going with Weber because of the word slang in it. So again,
Yes.
shout out Colby. The
My
fans
man.
love you, man.
Jason
Captain
Myers.
58. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Jason Myers doing the thing, man. I appreciate him tonight.
So it's a good man right there. Captain 58 in the comment section saying 31-28 Wildcats. And then as we get back to the Eastern score, I'll hold those comments until you and I have both gone.
Yeah, so Eastern, it's been weird because they've looked better the last few weeks. They've had some games that have been competitive. Last week they were not terrible. You know what I mean? Like, they had a good showing against Montana. They had a chance. So I think I'm taking Eastern on this one. Northern Colorado is a defense, and Eric Gibson Jr. is a good quarterback, and he's throwing the ball well. They have, Carver Cheeks there. But I don't know, just like these guys, the Eagles just seem to have maybe cracked the code a little bit, and they seem to be figuring something out. So I'm taking the Eagles.
Yeah, I think I got to go Eastern as well. I am not going to even attempt to. Oh, actually, hold on. There's a Skockle. Boom, got it off the website. Look at that, Mr. Hammer pronouncing things correctly. Jake Skockle, their whatever 7th string quarterback or whatever he is at this point. Jared Taylor retired from football earlier this week because of the awful pain and shots he's taken this year.
Which is crazy because I watched him run all over us, in Ogden 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever. And it's like, oh, he's just retired now. Like, we let an almost retired guy run all over us.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That was just Mickey Mental giving him one final sign off for his college career. That was, it was a nice guy move.
It's like the Kobe game, right? His final game, the Jazz just let him have it. Let him score 60. We don't care.
You know what? Sure. Score 60 on those 50 shots. We don't care.
Yeah, we don't care.
But man, Jake Skakel might be the best quarterback they've had in years. He's obviously he's a redshirt freshman. Unfortunately, the snap spike debacle took away any chance they had to upset Montana there. But man, the kid's got an arm. Kid can chuck the ball around, and we haven't seen Eastern do that since the Eric Barrier days. They have just not been able to fit in the typical passing quarterback that we see from Eastern. And again, 451 yards against the Montana defense is pretty impressive. So when you circle it back to Northern Colorado, who, like you said, pretty good defense. Carver Cheeks is probably the best receiver in the conference. Gibson is
Colby Katzis exists though, bro.
Fair enough.
As much as I hate to say it, I mean, I'll see him next week, but dude's pretty good, and he's a hell of a kick returner.
Oh, let's not even that we didn't even talk special teams, Colby. I don't even want to go there.
That's fine.
That's the special teams make me want to close my eyes. Brian as well is going with Eastern, guys. I just feels like, especially on the red, they might have figured out this quarterback situation. Maybe their best days are not behind them after all, because they've done just enough that I can't imagine you fire Aaron Bestnut with that contract. Maybe you found the quarterback and maybe you start figuring things out. Maybe he gets fired. Maybe he's the Vandal offensive coordinator next year. Who knows? In the comment section, Jason Mayer, Eastern with their newfangled quarterback. Captain 58, Noko by a tutty, 27-20. Steve Kurtz, Eastern wins by at least a score. Tom Kendall, 92. Eastern wins with a new kid at quarterback. Looks like we're all on the same page there, which means when UNC wins and we all look like fools, that's going to be really unfortunate for all of us. But we get to another real barn burner of a game. Cal Poly at NAU.
NAU.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's so dumb because like Cal Poly has had these flashes, right? Like beating Sac, where you're like, are they? Did they
turn the corner?
Yeah, are they finally taking that step that they've been saying that they're taking for like 5 years or whatever? 3 different head coaches? Yeah. But then you have a game like last week where it's just like, no, like these guys, they're exactly who we thought they were. You know what I mean? And it's like they get beat by Idaho State, whatever. So NAU probably is it. Pennington is having a really good season, like we said. That NAU secondary sucks, but I still take NAU.
But is Cal Poly the team that's going to capitalize on that poor secondary? Probably not. Yeah. It's also senior day. It's in Flagstaff. They're coming off of 49-10, I think was the Northern Colorado game. Complete blowout of Northern Colorado.
49-10, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Give me NAU. I think Brian took NAU as well. I'm trying to unlock my phone. Yes, Brian also took NAU. So clean sweep across the board from us here on this one, guys. In the comment section, Tom Kendall, 92, NAU. Jason Mayer, NAU, but it's close. Steve Kurtz, NAU. And Captain 58 going with the opposite of Jason Mayer. NAU might score 100. Lumberjacks big, 52-12.
They're just gonna...
Two different ends of that, but yeah, we're pretty much all... Yeah, exactly. They're just going to sling it. Pennington just going to sling it around. Martin, I know how much you've been looking forward to talking about this one. Montana at top 5, Portland State.
Top 5 Portland State gets a top 5 victory in Providence Park. I believe it's Providence Park, right? It's playing.
Well, so they only play there like a couple of times. That's the soccer stadium, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that they only, but I think they probably are for this game because I heard that they only do that when they play like opponents that travel well. Montana is one of those, obviously, so probably Providence Park. That's a good.
Yeah, I'm going with top 5 Portland State.
Captain 58 says in the comment section, the ultimate trap game, Colby.
Yeah, man. I mean, you look at Montana week after week and you're just like, how do they keep doing it, man? Like, I don't know. Cause like Ayat's had his moments, Michael Wortham, I realized as we were talking about best receiver in the conference, like we didn't talk about Michael Wortham and we should. But yeah, man, probably the Grizz on this one just cause Barney Ball has been bad this year.
Yeah, that's a program that is circling the drain, I think, at this point. I give Barnum all the props in the world for beating Wazoo. I was at that game in 2015, his first year, where they beat FBS Wazoo, and Wazoo ended up turning that season around. But it was like, holy fucking shit! Portland State of all people just beat an FBS school, and then they've fallen back to what you'd expect from a school with virtually no resources. That again is playing in Hillsborough High School Stadium. That is in Providence Park this week, but trying to pull up Providence Park on their football schedule, I don't actually see the last time they played a game in Providence Park because there hasn't been a whole lot to celebrate in Portland for quite some time. It's only getting worse. I love where Martin's head is here, but man, I think the three of us plus Brian could be the 4 wideouts on the Montana squad, and still beat Portland by probably 50.
Yeah.
And that's
and Hauk knows that offense, right? Hauk knows that offense. And so it's like, man.
Yeah, and that's where I always circle back to like, man, they should beat Portland State by 50, and then I'm like, oh, but Houck and Barnum are buddies. Like that's why Robbie Houck is on the Portland State coaching staff.
That's right.
Like he's probably not going to blow him out. It's not going to be a game that I think is ever really in danger, but it is probably going to be pretty ugly and pretty sad if you're one of the 10 Portland State fans that are going to be there.
If that game is ever in question, like alarm bells are ringing in Missoula. Like this is not the time for that, right? Like, no.
They're trying to get game day. They need to fucking show up if they actually want to get it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're lobbying, man.
Martin, I love your the caption you've dropped under your name there. Last time was 2018 from the Martin/Tubbs stats department. Love that. Thank you. So it's been 7 years since they had a big enough opponent come in and need to be in Providence Park. So again, if you're one of the 25 people in Portland that care about this game, I hope you have the time of your life. I saw the Foo Fighters there a couple years ago. Great show. You're probably not going to enjoy that as much as the Foo Fighters show was. But hey, you know what? Good luck to those fans. 2 games left, gentlemen. UC Davis at Montana State. I would argue the game of the week.
Is.
I'm going to go Montana State.
Yeah, Pinnock is going to win Freshman of the Year, right?
Yeah, it has to.
And so, but dude, Montana State's just too good. I watched them put 66 up on our team last week. Like, they're good. Like, they have a chance of winning, the next week in Missoula. So, taking the Cats on this one. And like I said, it's in Bozeman. So, like, that's tough. Bobcat Stadium is tough to win in these days, man.
Yes. Oh, yes, it is. As Vandals have been traumatized there a couple times in the last few years.
High five. Same.
Yeah,
High five.
Love it. Woo! Drama Club.
We've been there, man.
Hitting the previous game here because I forgot the comment section. Sorry, guys. Captain 58. That's the first quarter of every Grizz game. Is Montana in trouble? He's not wrong. It's like, oh, they didn't score 3 touchdowns on their first drive. Fire everybody. That math doesn't work out, but okay, sure, whatever. Jason Mayer. Montana plays down and looking forward, but still wins. Yeah, now we're moving on to UC Davis, Montana State. Man, Montana State's going to run away with this. If this was in Davis, I might have a little bit more of a sneaky upset pick, but man, this Montana State team is a wagon. I think they're the best team in the conference. I think the Brawl of the Wild is not going to be super close next week. I think they're going to run all over everybody, which is kind of what they've just been doing. I could not find a reason to pick UC Davis. I think Caden Pinnock is a fantastic quarterback. Like you said, he's going to be Freshman of the Year, Newcomer of the Year. He's going to win all the awards, and if he sticks around, he's going to be a phenomenal Big Sky quarterback.
Yep.
All of that to say, you're running into the best built team this side of the Dakotas, and good luck.
Yeah, that's fair. And it seems like they're clicking it on all cylinders at the right time, right? Yes. And so timing matters here. And like, this is not the time to go to Bozeman. I'll tell you that. We went there last week, and it wasn't the time to go to Bozeman, folks.
Not a good time there. No. Very happy that Idaho dodged that bullet this season. Was hoping to see them in the playoffs, but obviously not happening. In the comment section, Tom Kendall, Cats. Steve Kurtz, Cats pull away in the second half. Jason Mayer, somebody wake up Ron, MSU pick. Haven't seen Ron Lowney since
Ron Lowney, dude. Yeah,
first couple minutes here. So Ron, sorry that I struggle handling the comment section when Brian's not here to filibuster while I scroll through and grab the good ones. Captain 58, Montana State 38-10. Jason Mayer, Pinnock is going to sign up to be TCU's 4th string quarterback. And
if he does, that's the dumbest thing on the planet, man.
But how many other Big Sky quarterbacks have we? I thought Richie Munoz was going to be a Big Sky MVP by his senior year, and then
here we are.
3rd string quarterback at Tennessee Tech. Good for you, bro. Anyways, guys, we are just about to the hour mark. We are at the final game, the game that we spent the first 30 minutes of this show talking about. Idaho at Ballsack State. Martin, your final thoughts and your score prediction.
I think it's going to be close. Do I think Idaho is going to win? Yes, Mr. Sunshine Rainbow's history says I would. I don't think so. I think it's going to be something like a Sac State 31, Sac State 28.
31-28. Wow, that is close.
Martin, wait, did you broke my brain a little bit there. Did you just pick Sac State 31-28?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I picked them. Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I picked them in the preseason pick'em thing too. I could be wrong. I'm doing the reverse jinx.
Yeah, I'm speechless. I was not expecting that.
Wait. We have live reaction from Brian here in my pick.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
That was perfect. Thank you for that, Martin. Perfectly poignant. Colby, your final thoughts on Idaho at Sac State?
yeah, I think so. Like you said, backers, right? And I think you guys have the horses in the linebacking core to make this a game. And so I'm kind of with Martin here. I think it can be close because there's a chance, especially if they bust out that hard count, man. Like, so I also think it's probably I'm gonna go more like 27-24, but I'm taking Idaho putting up 27 points. They're gonna fix those mistakes from last week, boys. I'm telling you, those touchdowns are gonna count this week.
Man, I hope you are right, Colby. Brian did not get me a score prediction, but he is picking Idaho in this game. Hitting the comment section very quickly. Tom Kendall, sack 34, Idaho 17. Jason Mayer, Idaho plays loose. Shout out, Colby. And wins 42-21. Steve Kurtz, sack by 14. Captain 58, sack 31, Idaho 17. Jason Mayer, Idaho plus 3 on turnovers. Love that. Absolutely love that. Man, I'm going to go with Ball Sac State 31-27. I do think Idaho's offense is going to fix things a little bit. Where I am most concerned, we know that defense gets at the quarterback. Their base is listed as a 5-2, but they almost never play it because in what world do you play a 5-2 nowadays? It's very weird, right? They have legitimately their edges, and then they have 3 different defensive tackles listed as starting, and then 2 linebackers. And I think a little bit of that is necessity. They did lose. I wrote his name down. Derek Houston. They missed Derek Houston. He's got 32 tackles in 6 games, but he's only played 2 conference games. He's played Northern Colorado and Montana, and then he's missed most of the rest of the season. So that's where they have that 5-2 base that they kind of built. Again, they don't really use it. It's if you watch them on tape, most of the time they're in a 4-down front, and don't stray to this thing. But man, Idaho plays a significant amount of 2 tight ends and doesn't seem to know how to utilize that very well. Well, if Idaho's going to go trot out there with 7 guys on the line and a 5-man front is not necessarily the craziest thing. It terrifies me, absolutely terrifies me that Sac is actually going to break out this 5-2 front and just completely devastate the Idaho offensive front. Hope that doesn't happen, but we've not seen Idaho succeed a ton with 2 tight ends on the field. If they try to do that, man, it plays right into Sac State's base defense, which is terrifying for me. Captain 58, no faith in the offense until they prove me wrong. Sac gets to the quarterback. Wood can't win this game off his back. That's where I fall, Captain. I mean, you're relying on Joshua Wood to be superhero, and
yeah, 2-step drops all night, right?
Yeah, it's got to be lightning quick. It's got to be out. It's got to be Tom Brady running the 2007 Patriots, that like 1.8 second snap throw, like, and it's just got to be that. Big Rye in the comment section. Idaho wins by 10 with new OC. Again, I don't know if there is a new OC. We're hoping that there's going to be some sort of offensive change. We don't know that. We've been hearing rumors, but nothing that we've been able to confirm so far. Colby, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Like you said, top. So been writing for FCS Nation Radio, Kevin and Stone over there. Really appreciate those dudes. We're going to be in Nashville for the national championship game this year. And so I was sort of bummed because I was like, I moved from Nashville home to Utah. The national championship game goes to Nashville. So whatever. But yeah, and then like you said at the top, also on Twitter, Roy City Slicker. Appreciate you guys are always bringing me on. I love to talk about the Vandals, so thanks a bunch.
Absolutely, Colby. You're one of our absolute favorites. That's why we're You're one of the first 2 or 3 people we call every single time we need a guest. It's pretty much you and Kevin Marshall are the first 2 guys to get our call, and I think Brian just kind of
dude. If my name is being mentioned with Kevin Marshall, like Kevin knows FCS, he knows football, so I feel honored, man.
As you should. Martin's got the big old grin. We love having you here. Again, we're gonna get a bunch of comments in our Discord, probably in the next 20 minutes. But man, super cool you guys had Colby on. Thanks again, because again, there are a lot of people that have a lot of love for Walk On Apparel and hope to see a revival of that someday in the future. I know that that's things happened behind the scenes, and there's all this stuff that would have to go back into it, but the Vandals have been a supporter of yours for a very long time, so we appreciate you and we thank you. Yeah. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure speaking football with you this last hour. Guys, we're talking Sac State, Idaho recap, probably directly after the game. I think it's a 6:00 kickoff on ESPN Plus, so it's going to be a late night. Martin is already, I can see it. Martin's thinking of bedtime. It's going to get interesting. But again, Sac State senior night, 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Be there or be square. And I don't care. Just show up to our post-game show afterwards. That's what you really want to show up for, because Brian and I are both probably going to be a little bit punch drunk, maybe a little real drunk. Martin will probably be asleep. Hopefully he shows up. We'll see. We'll see you guys on Saturday. V's up and go Vandals.
Big Dumper should have won the MVP. Go Vandals.
Aaron Judge, MVP. Go Vandals.